Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and I am joined by my brother, the Gritty Broman. How are you, Brent?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Today's podcast is with our buddy, Kevin Timm, owner of Seek Outside. And we're going to talk about, on this podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about backpacks. Seek Outside makes a backpack. I used one last year on a trip to Kodiak Island, or the year before. So everything's a blur. COVID got us all kind of screwed up right now. It's like that part of the life just disappeared. It was just like exorcised from existence. Excised. Anyway, so Kevin and I talk about his backpack, his design. I think it's a really interesting show. I actually loaded up with 120 pounds, I think, or something of weights, put it on my back, walk around with it a little bit. I used one on Kodiak Island. Like I said, I put a whole goat in it and carried it around. It's a comfortable pack. It shifted a little much, and we talked about that on today's show, and he explained why. It's a really unique pack in that it can be customized and designed for just with its straps and set up very uniquely to each individual. And so, and the loads you're carrying. So anyway, it'll be a fun pack. I'm going to run it on a couple of hunts and just put it through the paces. I got a configuration I'm kind of keen on. I'm looking at running. It's a cool show. It's an interesting show. If you nerd out on backpacks, it's a good show. So I think you're going to like it. You can always use the code GRITTY at Seek Outside for their shelters, stoves, and their backpacks. And you save like 5% over there with Seek. Good stuff there. And we just published a podcast the other day asking or telling people about the boot dryers that Graxaw just came out with. And Graxaw is a buddy of ours. They sell the game bags that we like to promote and use. And he has created a boot dryer that we covered. Well, a lot of you were like, where's the pictures? And we've covered it once before. And other people were like, well, how do you get the heat into the boot? And so I'm just going to briefly touch on that one more time. I run a Seek Outside shelter with a stove, usually a teepee. I take my tripod and I stand it up. I take my boots, tie the knot in the loop. I hang my boots off the tripod. So my boots are elevated in the canopy of the tent above the stove. So the heat is really mild. It's like 75, 80 degrees up in there, maybe 85. And my boots are soaked. I turn on the boot dryers. They're blowing hot air because it's up in the canopy of the teepee into the boot. Boom, voila, warm boots, dry boots. Every night I wake up with warm boots every morning. I put on warm boots. It is awesome. And it's not heavy. It's worth the weight. Runs on your charger. I use the Stark Energy. Poseidon typically is what I use. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. So check out Graxaw, and you can save at Graxaw if you use the code GRITTY over there. Someone also asked about sheep feet, and are they really comfortable? And that was my Uncle Kevin.
I was saying, that was Uncle Kevin.
And he's like, is this for real? Yes, it's for real. I don't really run a pair of shoes now without the sheep feet insoles, the custom orthotics. They're worth it. I was reluctant. I was really slow to endorse them because I wanted to make sure I was thoroughly pleased and happy with what it is, the product. And I am. It's a good product. It's a great product. And if you have any kind of, it just will take your boot, and I'm running the Crispy. I like the Nevada, the Laponia. It doesn't matter. You throw in the insole from a sheep feet orthotic, and it just takes that boot to another level. I also have had problems with calf pain and running, and I like to run a lot, but I've been having some issues. Well, I pulled out my Under Armour runners. I pulled out that, and I replaced it with the 3/4 sheep feet insole. So my footbed, my balls of my feet are still kind of on without it. The insert doesn't go all the way to there, and been running in that, and I really, really like it. And I haven't had the same problems. I'm running really nice. I'm not having the shin and ankle issues and stuff that I'd been kind of plagued with for a couple of years. It's just constant. So I'm thrilled. I'm really happy with that. So check them out. And then when it comes to keeping your feet dry and your boots dry, the heater is nice, but also check out Peaks, the gators over at Peaks. We've been putting them through the paces, beating the hell out of them. Everybody needs a gator, especially in the spring and the fall. And we have spring bear coming up, even spring turkey. Get yourself
going on a turkey hunt?
The gators. I'm not going on a turkey hunt, and unless I have nothing else to do at all, and that includes fishing, then I'll turkey hunt. So no, I've been on a couple turkey hunts. I like them. I've yet to be in a situation where we actually called in a frickin' turkey. Every time I've spot and stalked like all these turkeys. You do what you know. I got sick of this. Like, they're not coming. I'm gonna go kill them, and the team's like, you can't kill them. They'll see you. Like, turkeys see you. I'm like, okay, not if you're sneaky.
Yeah, well, they're not coming, so I'd rather take some chance.
Yeah, I ended up killing a few turkeys. All the turkeys I've killed have been spot and stock. I think I've killed 4.
There's great footage of those hunts, just no audio.
Oh, really? I can't remember. Yeah, so
we had a really cool Texas turkey hunt. Just, your microphone came unplugged or something happened.
Oh, I forgot about Texas. I was thinking Oklahoma. But yeah, Texas is the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fun hunts. Turkeys are fun if you got nothing else to do.
We might throw it up on locals.
But bear hunts, get yourself some Peaks gators. They're solid product. Storm Castle. And use the code GRITTY. Helps us keep the lights on. Helps you. Everybody wins. And hope you enjoy the show. Let us know. Give us some comments, follow-up questions in the comments below on the YouTube channel. We always try to get to those. And stay gritty. All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call, and today I am sitting down with the owner of Seek Outside, Kevin Timm, and his son, is it Owen Timm?
Correct.
Owen Timm. And his son, Owen Timm. You see how I do that with the little edit? And his son, Owen Timm. All right, folks, we're going to get into, you and I have talked for a while about your backpacks. Yes. And I took one of your backpacks to Kodiak Island when I went on my goat hunt there with Cole Kramer, and it was my first chance to use it. I really enjoyed it, and there were some things I wanted to talk to you about, adjusting and fitting. So you came down today. We're going to talk about your backpacks a little bit more, learn a little bit more about fitting and just your design philosophy behind what you've built, because it's different. And one thing I really, really did like about the pack was just the comfort level of the pack. One of the most comfortable packs that I wore. But I told you when I got back, the only issue I had was more around when I put the entire mountain goat in my pack, hide, head, meat, everything, that the load shifted a little bit more than my other packs that I typically use. Mm-hmm. And then we found out that the way I had the pack attached, especially up behind the shoulders, was missing. It wasn't firmly fixed to the frame the way that it would be for that kind of load.
Correct.
Things like that. So, tell me more about that.
So I remember you said you had mentioned that the pack you thought was the most comfortable pack, or one of the most comfortable packs you'd ever worn. You mentioned your the load problem. I said that was resolvable. And we actually last year started shipping our packs default the other way, so to minimize that issue. We are going to get into packs. This is going to be the big pack geek out.
Yeah.
If anyone is ever interested in what each part of a pack is about, why, everything, we're going to really break it on down from design philosophy, even what we were thinking, and I mean, and I do know that when you first saw our pack, you said, whoa, this is pretty different. Like we sent you a bunch of, it was like a Lego land thing
right.
in a box. You were like, what am I supposed to do?
Very modular pieces.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And you were kind of blown away too. I mean, and not in a good way. You know what I mean? And let's be clear. It was kind of like, you're used to getting a pack that you pretty close throw on and make a couple adjustments. And ours looked more like some mad scientist kit and a test, right? You were kind of like, is this a test? Probably is always going on in your mind, know? So we've done a lot to resolve that in how we ship packs. Early on, we thought that people needed to get to know their system anyway to get the most out of it. But a lot of times it probably was too different and too much for people. So that being said, I don't know, do you want to just jump right into it?
Yeah. Like we talked about kind of what my needs, what sort of system I was looking for, what my pack configuration, that I kind of tend to like. And you mentioned basically a system that was ideal for me.
Yeah, I mentioned, and I brought a couple different ones.
I want to go over that.
So
it's kind of a selfish podcast here for me, and you can all come along.
It is. This is a geek out thing for PAX and a selfish thing for Brian, and we're going to try to make Brian his perfect pack.
Yep.
And we're going to try to outfit him with every bit of knowledge. So when someone says, "Why is that Seek pack so different?" If you happen to be liking it and wearing it, you can be like, "Well, because." This is why they did it. So historically, we'd already started Seek Outside. And I wasn't happy with the packs that I had been using. And I always thought that there was just something a little more that could be done. And I also watched people backpacking around the mountains. And sometimes I'd be like, "Oh, those people are going to be miserable and never go backpacking again." I didn't necessarily agree with the fitment advice you would get at a large retailer or something. I didn't think they were necessarily giving you the knowledge to make a comfortable trip. I didn't think the bulk of pack makers were caring too much about the pack other than that it looked good on the store shelf and made you think it was good for about 30 minutes. They didn't really care what you thought about it after 4 hours of wearing it, right? Myself, I used to like to do really long days. I still do. I used to like to do 10, 12, 14, 15-hour moving days in the mountains. And that was a really good shakedown thing for a pack. And I had some pretty strong opinions on what a good pack should do as far as being able to be comfortable for 14 hours. I don't think to be comfortable for 14 hours that there's only one adjustment that works for you. I think you have to have 3 or 4 things and move through the adjustments discreetly throughout the day. Take a little weight off your shoulders, put a little more on, change this up a little bit so you don't necessarily get the same hot spots and everything. Fast forward, Nathan Coleman was a customer of ours. He works for us now. Me and him really did the bulk of the pack design. And he had a high-end pack as well, and he went on an elk hunt in my area, and he killed a nice bull about like that with a first-time archery hunt.
Nice.
Lucky I just put him on that bull and did everything to help him be successful. No, he did the hard work, right? But yeah, so he got to carry that out of some really steep, nasty terrain on a day that was sleeting and stuff in September. So he ended up thinking that he had fairly significant pack failure and that it was pretty miserable experience. And he was one of those people, and there's a lot of them out there that like packs and they like to geek out on them. And he'd had like 50 packs, right? A little bit of an obsession. He also got married about this time too, so his obsession had to tame down a little bit. You know,
had to tamp it down a bit.
Yeah, had to tamp it down a little bit. And after that experience, he went back to Tennessee and he started buying all these packs just online, not new. He would go to Craigslist or forums on a hunting site and just start buying these packs. And he would get them, load them up with 100 pounds and
go
walk around, walk a couple, 3 miles, right? Because he was curious what worked. What he had didn't work and beat him up pretty bad. And I had my ideas of what a pack should be as well based on the packs I had used. And I'd even used some packs that I'd gotten at, garage sales and stuff. And I thought some of them had cool concepts in them as well, or old packs that were way out of production. So we just got to talking about this pack stuff, right? And then after he'd bought, 10, 20 packs, he'd used old external frames, then latest, greatest, newest packs, everything in between, stuff from the 80s, 90s. Just buy them, sell them, buy them, sell them, buy them, load them up, take notes, sell them. I don't think he necessarily had a plan on starting a pack business. Mm-hmm. He had a plan on that. He didn't want to be that miserable on a pack out anymore, right? And there started to be some commonality in the packs that maybe were working a little bit better for him. Mm-hmm. And likewise, I kind of had my ideas, and we got talking, and we're like, why don't we try to make a pack? You know, I own a company that sews stuff, right?
Right.
So we took him through a very modest amount of money into a little thing and said, this will buy us some junk to test with, right? And could you grab me one of those lanterners?
Yep.
So I'll start to illustrate it on our pack design. Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
I'll start to illustrate it. A
lot of people will be listening too.
Yeah.
So it's easier for folks if you come and watch the podcast instead of listen to it, but we'll do our best for the listeners.
Right.
Hands-free.
So I'm always been kind of the minimalist. The simple design that is effective is the best way. So perhaps we'll even go a little further, like who wants to be the person I point out on the anatomy part? You or you?
Owen.
Sure.
Owen.
Let's do it.
So in my world, I was like, turn around a little bit. Back to me, please. I was like, what a pack really needs to do is it needs a belt that is solid and doesn't move a whole lot. Because if your belt slips or doesn't maintain integrity, it's going to come down, and everything else fails if the belt fails.
Yeah.
You know, nothing's good.
Yeah, that's one of my frustrations, with packs that I feel like don't work for me. Mm-hmm. The belt slides down.
Yep. I'm not done with you. So I thought that what you needed was to be able to take load and put it on a belt right about here, right? Because this gave you access to the iliacs pretty close.
Yeah.
But it also split the difference with the lumbar. You have 3 real structure points in your body that can be used. You have the shelf on your lumbar, your kind of butt shelf.
Yep.
You have the bony part of your iliacs.
Yep.
And those are the only things that you can really find structure in. So you needed to be able to anchor this load in here, and you needed it to come up into here, because ideally you don't want all this weight on your shoulders. You have to have a way.
When you say up into here, you're pointing to above his shoulders.
Yeah, I'm pointing up around his ear somewhere. You need to have the load, this structure up here to pull this off.
One of the first things that I noticed with the Seek Outside pack, right off the bat, and we talked about this, was that, comparing it to what I've been using, which is a Stone Glacier for the past year or two. I've used XO, Kafaru, Initial Ascent, now Seek Outside, and then a lot of, I would say, lower tier packs, your Badlands, and I've worn Eberly stock. Let me think. There's a few different ones, and in all those years, one of the things I noticed about your pack right away is that it distributed the weight wider across the back than, especially my Stone Glacier, which is very narrow and fits right inside and kind of right at the base of
the lumbar butt shelf.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you put this pack on, it wraps around, and that weight is wider, and it's halfway around your to your hips almost.
Yes.
Totally different feeling.
Yeah. And this will be something that will be best on the video, but if you look at, say, this belt, you'll see the load really is terminated down to about here. The lumbar is about 2 inches in here, and from being Owen's pack, you can actually see a little indentation from his iliacs about an inch over that way. So it really is a much wider spread. The other thing...
And that's the other thing, too. Yeah, where this load is coming down. I mean, it comes down pretty far. Your frame here is even right at the base of your strap, of your waist belt.
Yeah.
Which you don't see very often.
Right. And that's a little more old school design. I mean, we started this when Nathan and I decided to pursue or to really monkey around in pack design, let's say, because we hadn't started a business yet.
Yep.
But when we decided to really screw around in pack design, we went very pie in the sky. We said, why start from any of these things that we view as failed concepts or as having weakness? Let's go pie in the sky. Where do we want load to be? What do we want to happen? We want a belt that doesn't slip. We want to be able to transfer this load that is on a frame to this area of a belt. And we want it to terminate somewhere up in here, right? And we want the frame we want to have a very good center of gravity. If you notice, when you wear our frame, it almost wraps your body more than it, like a lot of frames, I call a lot of frames conformance frames. They'll be maybe 6 inches apart in here. They'll be bent to your body. People might say bend the stays, get the stays to fit or whatever. Right. Or some other brands put a lot of different padding in there and they'll use a flatter structure, but the padding kind of offsets it to your body a little bit. Yeah. But we want, especially with heavy loads, we want this as close to you as you can because as you get this load out, it's not good. It starts to make things unstable.
Absolutely. Right.
And so I consider this really more of an avoidance frame in that we kind of wrap around the body and we give a little bit of shoulder hump here. But we more like reinforce and wrap the body than try to match the body and be right in with the body. It's just different conceptually. And, old external frames more avoided the body. Themselves. They were set out wide, out almost to size, but they also weren't very comfortable or good to go through brush. So you had to do things like add some shaping. We made narrower at the top than it was at the bottom.
Yep.
So it's kind of a U-shaped frame that starts to close. And that really kind of gives you better movement when you're going through brush, timber, things like that, not like a big wide frame out here.
Yep.
And then there was the big epiphany, and I'll be real honest, we made our first mock-up frame out of PVC, right? And we were just talking via FaceTime, looking at the mock-up frame, and it wouldn't stay in place because we hadn't glued the PVC together yet. And Nathan was like, I wonder if this can help it like move with your body and be a little more comfortable. So he worked with a company in his neck of the woods to make a sample frame. And I said, maybe we can limit that movement a little bit with tension. So we made this thing that looked absolutely awful. It was duct taped together. I'm not kidding you. There was this bare metal U-shaped frame with a duct taped piece of padding on it. And I screwed a little aluminum thing across it that I took a harness off another pack and I basically duct taped that harness there. And then I had our head seamstress sew a belt kind of the style that I thought would work, attached it to this frame. Then we had to walk around, but we had to find places to walk around where no one else was. Because you don't want to be walking around with this contraption on your local popular trails, right?
Yeah.
It was hideously ugly. So I had to find steep places and stuff, and we thought, this actually kind of has legs, right? So then we started saying, what other things do we want? And we wanted a compression system that worked really well, to be able to compress down flat practically. We wanted to have a fabric that was nearly waterproof so you didn't need a rain fly. Why? Rain flies are kind of dumb. I was talking to these guys at BHA a couple of years ago, and they were talking about trying to hunt on Adak Island, I think it was, with a pack with a rain fly on. In windy, blowing sideways rain. It wasn't a very successful thing.
Adak's windy too.
Yeah, exactly. Rainfly was probably over in Russia.
Yeah.
By the time they got done.
Yep.
So we started with those attributes. We started working through different things. We viewed every little thing. Like initially we viewed that the harness was only for getting the pack on and to have your torso length so it would come across your iliac and sit Right. That was a little bit of a mistake on our part because we found out some people like to wear stuff just with their harness, and we had some complaints in our early packs. We adjusted the harness and stuff, and then we went on. But it was a distinctly different attempt at a pack. So it wasn't like we were taking a mystery ranch, because some packs you look at, and I'm not criticizing any companies, but you can be like, oh, it looks like this pack and this pack
had a baby.
Right. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see it a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's very common. Mm-hmm. Most people say, well, I like this pack, but I wish it did this.
Yep.
So they start there. We kind of went with, they're all failing us at some point. Mm-hmm. We need to throw the whole thing out and just start pie in the sky and build back and validate each thing
as we go,
mm-hmm. to make sure that this whole system works.
Yep. I get all those design
mm-hmm.
elements, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what did you come up with?
So what we came up with was basically this. It is a U-shaped aluminum frame.
Mm-hmm.
There is a patented frame because there's a slip joint in here,
mm-hmm.
which allows us to move well with you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you really get this pack locked in on you,
mm-hmm.
there are times you can move your shoulders and you can feel that movement, and it's actually pretty neat. And you're like, whoa, this thing is so locked in and is almost a part of me. So that we messed with different materials. We ended up using aircraft aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to source carbon to see how feasible that would be.
Mm-hmm.
We made a few frames ourselves that were aluminum but wrapped with carbon, but we lost some confidence in them because you could hear them kind of creak under load a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But this was light. This was as light as we could get the structure of the frame to provide the support
mm-hmm.
that is necessary to support, say, a 150-pound load.
It's a handsome-looking pack.
Definitely.
I mean, they really are a handsome-looking pack.
So they're different-looking packs, though. You know, that's the challenge.
It kind of has a blend of a new age tech and old age external frame kind of look, but it does have a handsome look to it.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, I don't get this. Where'd this come from? Because they're
so many packs are internal frames at this point, especially used in the hunting space.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so having an external frame like that just sets it apart right off the bat. One of the things I like about the external frame too is just being able to tie crap to it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, lashing things to the side of it and onto the frame it reminds me of, Boy Scouts when I was like, 12 years old.
Yeah. I saw someone on an internet forum write this review, and they had compared our pack and a QU. This wasn't a review anyone paid for or that we facilitated. It was
mm-hmm.
totally news to us. And they gave the analogy of that like the QU is like a Mac. It was a nice pack that was pretty dialed and flashy. And the SO was more like a Linux, which was infinitely just super powerful,
mm-hmm.
But required a little bit more of a mad scientist approach to it, a little bit more knowledge of it. But with Linux, you can do anything you want
mm-hmm.
with it. But it does take a little bit of a learning curve to it.
Yep.
And I didn't find offense in that, because at the end of the day, as we go through this, you'll see there's a lot of things we tried to do that really kind of open the platform up. Like, so our first packs.
Well, and I'll say this, there are some brands that have a platform, and I've used them before, that you almost need someone to help you fit if you're not really familiar with them, to get them to feel good. And then there's others where I've been able to throw them on and they approximately kind of work across the board for most people pretty well. But those custom fit ones are nice when they fit,
mm-hmm.
When you get it dialed.
When you get a really good fit.
But in my previous life with backpacks, that's what it took. Just more effort, more knowledge on how to fit a pack, and then more adjustments, even with bending stays or pulling stays out, switching them out for like a flat back versus curved back kind of situation, right. And things like that. So it is challenging for people. It was challenging. I wore a pack for years that was like $800, nice pack, great pack design, but it never fit me well till years later when I figured out all the things that I didn't have fitted right. So it's a pro and a con.
Ours has a lot of fitting options. Like you can adjust the frame height.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might adjust the frame height and never touch it. Some people might run a short frame for still hunting and then put in extensions. You can see, I think this is Owen's pack, and you have 2-inch extensions in yours.
Yep.
So he likes a 26-inch frame. Mm-hmm. And then you have our belt can be ran in a floating way, in which the idea is that it articulates in to fit your body, or it can be run captured, which keeps it a little more standardized like this.
How do you like to run it, Owen?
I prefer it captured. The captured just fits my body a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I like the pack not to move around a whole lot when I'm out in the woods. So that's my preferred method.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the lumbar as an option. If you run it captured, you're going to probably want the lumbar pad. Mm-hmm. The lumbar pad is adjustable. It has different pieces of foam you can take and move them out as well. The idea is that this belt fits you so tight or so well that it can't be moved. And if we have just a belt, the example, or just an example for people listening, is that if you take your belt and you just put it on kind of tight, and you can't move that thing off past your butt. You just can't. Mm-hmm. And because it conforms to you very well, like a leather belt, right?
Yep.
A lot of backpacks try to build belts that are burly and have structure in, and they try to maybe bridge the gap between the lumbar and the wings and these other things. And I'm not saying these people were wrong in doing so, but when they do that, they aren't necessarily going to conform to you. Our goal is to conform to your body as much as we can, and to approximate that fit. And if you can get that, it doesn't need to squeeze you like a girdle, and it won't come off, and it really won't slide much at all if you do that right. So that and the frame height are our two big fit things, right?
You're right.
Make sure you get this right belt size. And I don't know if you want to. Can you put this on, Owen?
Yeah, 100%.
And tighten it up and just push down on the belt. Put weight on the back of the frame, or we can do it, and it just won't move much if it's on there. Other things, we have top and bottom adjust on our belt because we want to cup your iliacs more. A lot of belts have a forward pull, but they actually tighten it on the iliac, which has a tendency to create a hot spot on the iliac itself. So
cut off circulation.
Yeah, so we're trying to kind of avoid this. And especially when you're doing something...
Now, that's a little different. The one that I've run has 2 buckles.
You had a top-bottom, and we changed this last year to be... So a lot of people did not complain about the fit of the top-bottom.
Right.
They didn't complain about the load. They complained that they just didn't like buckling 2 buckles.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I get it. We have people in our shop that are like, I don't like clicking 2 buckles. I want to click 1. So if we got this on Owen, let's see. We start to...
Right. It's not moving at all.
It's not moving, and it's not necessarily even girdle tight on him.
Yeah.
It's snug, but, when you conform really well like that, your belt really has a tendency to stay put. And
because you can see at angles, because you got the top and the bottom, you can really kind of fit it in a way that a single strap wouldn't be able to do.
That's one of the things I really like about the forward pull hip belt that we have, is that you can adjust kind of exactly where you want that force to be pulling. So if on the bottom feels better for you, you can kind of really focus all of that tension there. But I preferred it just to go over the iliac crest, because it's gonna hold. It's like you said, not a belt, like a belt. It's not going to be able to go down. So.
And another thing to note is the foam we use is a progressive compression foam. So, and it's a very high-end foam. When we were calling around to foam finishers trying to get the foam that we wanted, they would be like, wow, it's like a Cadillac. Are you sure, guys, sure you want to spend that much on a backpack foam, right?
Right.
But we did, and we liked the progressive compression because if you think about it, if you have something that compresses super easily, right?
Yep.
Then you bottom out. If you have a foam that maybe has a relatively high compressive load, then it's kind of hard. It could be perceived as hard.
Yeah.
And this will, it goes more poundage as you compress on it more, right? So and that's the same foam we use in our harness as well.
Fourth. So it really just feels like somebody made me weigh more when I'm out on the trail or packing something out.
I'd have to load it up and see, but like I packed my elk out this year with Brad Hunt and I, and it was 140 pounds. We weighed it when we got back. He carried 160, and we went 8 miles, and this was in straight up, straight down terrain for like 3 of those miles, and the other 5 was fairly, gradual kind of climbs. But having that much load on top, it's a lot of weight. Most guys can't carry it. Most guys wouldn't carry it up or down where we carried it. And my goat was a lot of weight too.
Yep.
I mean, they're bigger than people realize, especially Kodiak mountain goats. And I was trying to show off, of course, but we shot 2 goats at the same time. So between the group of us, we kind of just had to make it happen.
Yeah.
And so you got the hide, and goat hides are ridiculous, and then we got the bone in meat and stuff. And so packing that out was a bear.
120-ish probably. Or
yeah, I think so. And so and the hide was floppy, like they can be. But that's okay, because generally I throw everything inside the bag, including the hide, and then we strap it down. Sometimes like we were heading back to camp, but if I had to put my camp in there too, I probably would have had to put it on the back outside. I put it on the outside so I could get some cool photos. I mean, that's
exactly
really why I put it. But it didn't strap down well, or it didn't carry well as it probably would have inside. But nevertheless, once I loaded it that heavy, that's when I ran into trouble for me. Like feeling secure with the load.
Well, that is mostly at the harness right there. There is a big difference. Like if we took and unthreaded this, and I think maybe if you messed with yours initially, it is not near as there's not very much movement when you get this captured.
And it looks totally different.
And locked down versus the other way. Also, the chest strap helps a little bit.
Most companies wouldn't offer the option of having it both ways.
Yeah.
They would just sell you one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have this option right here.
Right.
This is really interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, we really are almost a custom fit in a production pack, in a high-end production pack, because you can adjust the frame height. Like if Owen decided 25 1/4 was his perfect frame height,
that's what you do.
He would just
take... How tall are you, Owen?
I'm 6'1".
So he would just take his extensions here, take a tubing cutter, and lop 3/4 of an inch off of them and take them from 26 total height down to 25 1/4. Or if he wanted 27, he could take a 4-inch extension and cut it down 1 inch.
I'm 5'10". I have short legs and a long torso, and I pretty much run 26-inch frames with everything.
Yeah, I mean, this one probably, if you want to try to put this on right now, let's just see. This one's probably not too far off from you.
I like this single buckle that you got going on here. I do like how that feels, the way that you're able to do top and bottom. I mean, it's one of the first things. I thought it was odd before. It was odd, but you can't deny the comfort.
Yeah.
And now that you have it into one buckle, now you get the best of both.
Right.
It's super simple.
The reason we ended up at the top and bottom is one year somehow I had some sort of hip pointer issue. I think I must have rolled off my sleeping pad somewhere in the woods onto a rock or something. And I was really struggling to keep 30 pounds of day hunting gear or lightweight backpacking gear on my hips all day without the one hip starting to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I had one made with dual buckles, and I was able to hunt all day with that, just adjusting around it. So it wasn't like I was wearing
Right.
10 hours the exact same way. And that kind of goes back to what we mentioned a little earlier about the being able to find several ways to make it adjustable. Now, with you on that, I bet you if we tightened up the load lifters, you probably could feel the frame move. If you moved your shoulders like you were drawing a bow or cross-country skiing or something.
It's comfortable. I need load,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
to really
Yeah.
feel it. But it feels nice. Look at all that snow.
Do you know that the weather forecast at my house this morning said that we are supposed to get 2 to 3 feet by Monday?
No. Dang.
It was serious depressing event. I was like, back to New Mexico I go.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Kevin, I can
Yeah.
feel the frame against my shoulder blades.
Mm-hmm.
Is that normal?
You can a little bit, depending on it depends if it's a comfort issue for you. If it is a comfort issue, but I can feel it occasionally a little bit, but it's not really a comfort issue for me.
Wonder how much of it is the load lifters versus where I'm holding the weight. When I pull the load lifters, I can feel it.
Right.
Yeah.
When I get real locked in, I can feel that a little bit. And frankly, that's a fairly easy thing if we wanted to go to the hardware store and grab a little bit of tubing insulation and slap around there on the frame.
Mm-hmm.
It would give you some padding underneath there.
I don't know if it matters, but you can feel it right there on my
right here.
My shoulder blade, in that corner,
Right here.
a little higher.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it matters. Like, I'd have to wear it a bunch, put the load in it and carry it and see if I would start to feel any rubbing or rawness.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
you're pretty big shouldered as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, but it's a pretty easy fix with a little bit of tubing foam from the now.
And is it? I don't remember that on the last one, really.
I don't remember what platform you had. If you had an integrated, or if you had a breakaway. So we can also go kind of. The suspension is exactly the same on our packs. We have the breakaway, which allows the bag to separate from the suspension.
Yep.
Which is what people call the load shelf, and then we have the integrated, where the bag and suspension are all put together. And it's all one. So this is integrated. You see the frame really just slides right on in to part of the back panel and then slides up here. It's all one piece. It reduces some strappiness and some complexity, and it saves a few ounces.
Okay.
And for some people, they have a preference for the integrated. And I mean, all of our stuff, all of these packs are hunting capable. I know people that have carried out elk in our Divide, which is considered more of a backpacking, or in our Gila, or they use our Gila as a day hunting pack, because they'll still carry out the same weight. Configured the same way, it's the same comfort. It just saves a little bit of weight being integrated. Owen, I think you're in the integrated camp, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And like on this is a custom Lanner bag, and this is Owen's. I think
this is integrated.
Yeah, this is integrated. And I mean, it's a fairly light, it's even light by backpacking standards.
Yeah.
If you go to REI, this is still relatively
featherweight,
light,
yeah.
Lighter than a lot. This, I think, does a really good job of being an efficient hunting day pack. And I'll give you kind of the reason, because it's really kind of compressed into day pack mode at this point.
Yep.
But if we take and just put this around the frame here, what you have is this big pocket here. You can throw your tarp, your rain jacket, whatever in there. It's fairly sizable. You have this pocket.
Two zippered pockets on the front of it.
Yep. You have this. You would release a little bit, but these are spotting scope, tripod, or they're good for like the soft-sided water carry things like the Hydro Flask.
Yep.
Which I often use one of those. And then there's this, which is really kind of like a little faux lid shroud pocket here. And if you roll this just right, you can have this, so like this is rolled just a tad too tight. You just roll this like this.
Then you have a top pocket.
Yeah, then you have a top
lid.
pocket here. I mean, you can put your headlamp or whatever, right in there as well. So it works really well in a streamlined fashion like that. And then it breaks out into, we call this a 54. It's really about a 64 if you calculate out the exterior pocketing. Although this isn't what I would recommend for you because while I think this is a really good size for most backpack hunters that are doing 5 to 10 days, depending upon the season and the weight and all, and how much they pack. For you, I think with all your camera gear, you really should have more, 75-ish size. So this on a bigger bag, and that gets into, you can build this bag in our custom builder on our shop. You can build it on a 6,000 bag, which would add an extra 1,000 CIs to it. You can build it in different fabrics. You can pick whatever colors you want. You can build it with this green X-Pack and use this as accents, or if you don't like this as accent, you could have a
very customizable
Cordura accent fabric as well. We did bring a thing of fabric samples. We have multicam and some other options as well. So I don't know. And then this is our Spectra grid fabric, which is pretty light and tough and not as waterproof as that, but it's waterproof enough. It's still as waterproof as most tents.
So you got the multicam options here.
I see.
That's actually a Cordura face. So it is if people think, oh, well, so-and-so uses Cordura because that's actually Cordura with it's called X-Pack.
On the back.
Cordura face with an X-Pack laminate on it.
And then we have an olive X-Pack as well as that Spectra like he was talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
This is also a little more supple and quiet compared to, but these do quiet up over time. But I know you've used X-Pack in some wet environments before. You know that
Kodiak.
Yeah, it's
twice.
It's nice to have.
It's really nice to have. One of the things that is a frustration when you're hunting in super rainy climates is backpacks that aren't actually waterproof. Like you were describing earlier with Adak Island. There's a pack for the job, especially when you're on Kodiak or Adak. And a lot of the packs, sitting there and putting those raincoats over them is a colossal pain in the ass. And not only that, so if you don't do that, though, and you're not disciplined, you can spray it down with waterproof coating before you go and try to get it to, but it won't last very long when you're in climates like where I grew up in Northwest, in Oregon, on the coast, Kodiak. You're talking about levels of rain that I think people that don't live in those climates have no idea what you're dealing with.
Funny thing is we have quite a fan base on Kodiak.
Yeah.
There's a fair amount of Seek Outside backpack users on Kodiak and shelter users. I mean, I like to say, if we had the same user penetration on the rest of the U.S. that we do on Kodiak, I'd probably have my own island,
Right. Well, and I noticed, when you're in those kind of climates, so I had a Kafaru that had similar material, right? And then I used yours. So I used it twice, both times. I used the two. And when you use a pack that's not like that, it soaks up water. I don't know how much it weighs in addition. But then your stuff is just constantly, you got to bag everything inside of it too. And when you have camera gear, everything just starts to become a pain in the ass. And then things start to get wet, inevitably. But with this X-Pack material, It doesn't take on the weight. It sheds the water, no problem. I can carry those. I can put things in there without my camera gear and my sensitive gear like getting wet or ruined. And so I really do dig the material. It can be a little noisy.
Yes, and it can soften. It will soften a little bit, but it can be a little noisy, and especially below freezing. When you get in the 20s, it can be, But I also.
But this stuff, and this is a more worn pack.
Yeah.
This isn't too bad.
And it'll be kind of similar from when it comes from the factory. The Spectra feels a lot more malleable, kind of similar to like a Cordura.
Yeah, like you could, if you want to grab the hip belt or even just that fabric, it's a little more like a Cordura kind of feel.
You can feel it. How does the Cordura backed stuff compare? Is it quieter? It seems it does have this kind of, it's a little
loud still.
Stiff still.
Yeah. The X-Pack coating itself makes it stiff. And in fact, when we were working with the mill on this Spectra fabric, we could have got a more waterproof coating. It's 1,500 millimeter right now. We could have upped it, but the sample we got of upping it made it a little noisy, and we wanted it to. We knew that some people, thought our packs were a little noisy, so we backed off it. And we said, and thus far, I mean, we've had this out for a year with packs using.
I really like that. I like the feel of that.
Yeah.
I like the look of it too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a sexy looking pack.
It gets close enough to this for most people. Maybe not for Kodiak.
Yeah.
For an environment like that, you might want to just go for.
Well, and once I'm going to Kodiak, it rains so much anyway, and all that. I'm not. Everything's. I don't mind that it's a little bit noisy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a different kind of hunt, different kind of place.
But for the bulk of the U.S., this is probably waterproof enough. I know, like Zach Herod did Harold Herod. I forget his last name, and I apologize to Zach. He did a review on Rock Slide, and he said one of the things he really liked was that he could just wipe the blood out with a wipey. So, and you can. This one's packed. You packed out elk on this one, right?
Yeah, probably 3 or 4 animals this year. So it's definitely seen its fair share, and you couldn't even tell if you opened it up. And it's easy. You even wash it through the washing machine. Just take the frame out and everything, run it through, no detergents, and let it air dry, and perfectly good.
Yeah, and it's super easy to take the frame out as well. So then this is brought up because this is the breakaway platform, which, you can totally separate it. Same bag. This is the Lanner.
Same bag as that, just a different X-Pack material.
You can but you can take this off of the suspension. You could carry a keg of beer on the suspension if you really wanted, or huck quarters on it, you could change out for just a compression panel and carry stuff with it as well. So a lot of people like this for its adaptability, and a lot of people don't seem to care to carry meat in the bag. I'm a meat in the bag simplicity guy.
Me too.
So I default that route.
So this one, the breakaway, basically though, you can turn it into like a meat shelf pack.
Yeah.
And this one's integrated.
Yeah, this one.
I'd probably prefer integrated myself, just because that's how I always roll.
And you can totally move between these platforms. Even the amount of time if Owen wanted to go move his pack here to a load shelf pack, he would just slip his frame and hip belt out. Take his harness out, put this panel on, slide it into here, and attach the harness to here, and then go with this. So you can move them between. You are
interchangeable.
You could literally buy. You could buy like our Divide, hike all summer with it, integrated. And if you wanted to hunt out of a big load shelf style bag, then you could swap it when you were getting ready for hunting season and go from there.
Gotcha.
So it's relatively easy to do. Let me see if I can just get this one broken away here. It's pretty easy, but I think we put a lot of, there we go. So,
yeah,
you can just break it away
break
there.
it away, yeah. There's a lot of people who love that.
Yeah, and when you do this, because of the way we do our compression, we use these gatekeeper straps. You can separately compress underneath here.
Yeah, that's one thing that does appeal to me with this breakaway system is you're able to put that meat and whatever is heavy, like exactly where you want it on this frame. That's one of the advantages. So when you're putting it inside the bag itself, there's certain tension you need to put on it as you're loading it.
You want to open up your bag?
So I was going to show. So we have something we call our internal load shelf here on our integrated bags, which is generally a custom option. But if you open it up here, it's going to provide that, but inside the bag. So
I do like how that zips all the way down.
We open the side zipper, and then we have this internal load shelf, right?
So why do we need a breakaway, Kevin?
Why do we need the breakaway?
Because look at that. That's genius. That's what you need. That's what I want.
Because other people have done a really good job selling the breakaway, and they've made about half the public believe that
you need
breakaway
one, or
you
should have one. Yeah,
They
have. That's true. I don't understand it, but it's that right there. It's so great that you can basically open up your whole bag, lay a big giant quarter right there, just like it's just like a breakaway system, more or less.
Yeah.
You have your straps and your tensions inside to fix the. Let's say it was. Well, we promote the Graxaw game bags a lot. They're just like if you do bone it out and it's not on the bone, it's a tube basically of meat, so it stays in a certain shape.
Yep.
That way the meat doesn't just pile in a giant bottom at the.
That's nice. I've been using Argales, and they're nice bags, but I might need to check that out.
Yeah, and then you can stick 2 logs in there, and the weight's compressed. It's smaller up to your back, and it goes up higher.
Are they big enough to? Because the way I like to bone out like an elk is Nathan, who is really good at that whole field stuff, but I'm a little more caveman-y. Yeah. I basically take my knife on a rear quarter and to the bone and pull it on down and then work it around and take the whole thing off at once. Yeah. Are they big enough that you could take like a bull elk rear quarter, all the meat at one go and chunk it in the bag?
Yeah.
You are? Okay.
Yeah. But certainly for bear and elk, or for bear and deer, I believe there are some elk bags that are a little bit bigger for that. And yeah, I believe we've done that. I'm trying to remember if we've done that a few times because we like to cut along the meat, the muscle, but so it stays in muscle groups, but we still do the same thing, and it's all connected because the fewer cuts,
the less dirt,
less damage, less meat you got to chuck when you get home. So keep it all connected and stick it in there in one giant piece, and it all stays connected. Yeah, we've done that a number of times.
Nathan's more meticulous, and he'll do the muscle cuts along that. And maybe if I'm really feeling like I got a lot of time to kill, I'll do it. But
we've been canning so much of it doesn't take up freezer space, and it's convenient, and we eat it so much more readily like that. Some of that I'm not as careful about it anymore because I'm just going to get home and cut it up. My only concern really at this point, because I'm not super picky about cuts, steak cuts and stuff like that. Yeah, I tend to take it off without being too particular anymore because I know I'm going to can the whole thing.
Yeah. So this is super simple. I mean, this is actually, in my opinion, faster than the load shelf. Than this style, and it's more secure.
Yeah,
you can lock this whole thing down.
I like that, man. That's legit.
The thing that you have to then say, well, what about all my gear? What about all my gear on my pack out, right?
We just bring a heavy duty, thick mill contractor garbage bag.
Yep.
Yep. And that's
what I did this season.
And another option.
Plus, you always have that in case something goes south,
Yep.
And for any other reason too. But we use that same bag multiple animals, and those thick, heavy duty contractor bags, they'll be fine. They'll do a great job.
That's what I do. Now, the other option, like, can you grab the Uniweep and put a Talon on it?
Yep.
Put a Merlin on it. So this would be kind of a similar thing, but like, say the Uniweep Merlin, this is very close to what our initial thing was. People have a tendency, they seem to prefer these bags that are all integrated into one.
Yep.
But our Uniweep Merlin was into two things, and it essentially was kind of like a beaver tail compression panel.
Yeah.
So what I've done on a lot of pack outs with that is the meat goes in the bag, and then my gear gets compressed because it's not as heavy as the meat.
You're correct.
Gets compressed underneath the compression panel on the outside. So it's almost like a load shelf, but instead of that, I'm putting the meat here against this, and I have this big bag out here.
Yeah.
I have a small compression panel, and I'm
On
putting
the outside of the main bag.
Yeah.
That has the meat in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're just keeping all your gear separate.
Yeah.
Just using a different method.
Yeah. And so we have these different Talons. There's Merlins. The Merlin is a day pack one.
And when you say Talon, what does that mean?
Talon is what we consider a compression panel. So think of it as, really we borrowed this. Think about a claw, right, that grabs something.
Yep.
And so for us, this is what we call the base Talon, which is really our basic Talon. It's one zippered pocket, big enough really to put some day gear in.
Yep.
You can put orange in if you're really worried about that. And then it has a mesh pocket here. This is, you can put a hydration bladder in there if you want. You can also put wet stuff. You can stash maybe even a tripod back into there if you wanted. And then this has 2 bottom compressions, 3 side compressions, 1 over the top, and it basically will grip whatever you're doing. So as Owen gets that bag configured over there.
So you can just put some things on the outside of your bag, and then this rectangular piece of material can then just be cinched on top of it.
Yeah.
To hold whatever you want
into
place.
Let's see. Let me grab the Merlin over here, or just throw it over. This is a day pack that goes there. So
that's handy.
Yeah, so you can use that as your compression panel, which if you want to go on a stalk and you don't want your big pack, say you're like, I'm half mile from, I'm just stalking this.
Right.
You can just, because this, it sits there, and you can just take these out.
Kevin, can you do that in like Berber fleece or something?
Not in Berber fleece. I'm sure we can.
Something silent, because that's one of my pet peeves is when I go on a stalk like that, and I do want a little pack that mounts on my normal pack, but that I can, and I don't like lids and other things. I want something that's pretty like this.
Yeah.
That's a good shape and size. But I want it to be silent for that, because if I'm really going to wear it as I butt crawl in on a bull elk, in September, that's screaming, which I did a lot of, I need...
This is the most silent we have. I can see if we can make you one that is more silent. We do have a 500D Corduro one as well. That is basically a water bottle or spotting scope. This actually works. This is a big chamber pocket. This actually works. There's some side benefits to this.
This is pretty cool, Kevin.
When you're traveling, say you're flying to Alaska, you can check your big bag.
Yep.
And this is your compression panel, and you can bring this on the plane with you.
Yeah.
And this also works fairly well with small laptops in that side, how that big side opening is. So I use it a lot as an EDC. I throw my laptop in there, go to the shop.
Yeah.
Another side benefit of this approach, which may not be obvious to everyone, or maybe it is that, to me, in our opinion, when we were doing this initially, because we've been offering the day pack option since the get-go. We've changed the day pack a couple times, but we've been offering it for 6-7 years now. But
I like this.
What you need for a day hike and what you need for an overnight, the difference, or several days, is the overnight or several day gear. I mean, if you're going on a long day hike, you might still have a water filter, a headlamp, rain shell.
Oh, believe me, like when we were hunting elk this year, like I was constantly ready to drop my main pack and take off, and had just about everything I needed all in one quick go bag that's connected to the main bag and ready to go, because you never knew, so you'd have your inReach in there, you'd have a backup,
my
GPS, whatever.
My inReach hangs right off here, off one of these loops, and I use this as
my puffy jacket, like the things I'm using for the day, and in case everything goes south, fire, matches, that kind of thing. Everything's already there, and it's nice. I know where to find it every night in camp. I know where it's at. I can always just drop it and go.
Yeah.
For me, I use the Stone Glacier lid and converted it. It kind of turns into a satchel.
Yeah.
But I hate it. And then when I was hunting elk, I just jimmy rigged it so that it turned into a backpack. And then I had put my own chest strap across it. I did like that it rode high, because I was shimmying on my back a lot, or laying down flat, or crawling, downward with a bow across my lap. And having a pack that could, fit here or be fairly small, because when I had a pack that was down here, then I'd lay down on the ground and it would keep me this far off the ground in the grass, and then the elk would see me. So having something that was rode a little higher, because I have a camera in there. I have a giant camera and lens and a little tripod and things like that too, which can become, I ended up a lot of times running that tripod around my neck, and then my backpack was softer and could just lay flatter and for the go.
It also makes packing for a trip a little easier too. If you are always using this as your day pack, that all you need is, you're like, well, I throw my sleeping bag, pad, some food, and just my
I
camp
use
gear,
my Stone Glacier lid like what you're describing, but it's not built for the job.
Right.
It's inadequate. It is surprising how much you can fit in there in that odd shape. But then when you got to put your hand in there and find something, it's like that Harry Potter bag that, it's got like a billion things in it. I look in that thing for an hour trying to find like one thing constantly, because there's no organization. It's just a tiny hole with a big compartment.
That's why our lid, and I'm not criticizing them, that's why our lid isn't gigantic. Early on, we made a fairly sizable lid, but it was kind of the same thing. It was, you ended up having a garage sale, to find something specific. This also, I sometimes use this as a pillow. It's a relatively good size and shape for a backcountry pillow. Yeah. Throw a jacket in it, and if I'm really trying to cut weight, although I do kind of like that Philo pillow from Nemo. But this can do double duty as a pillow like that. So this is like our original setup.
What is this?
This is a Uniweep, and once again, I mean,
a what?
This is a Uniweep.
Uniweep? Yes.
Which Uniweep is actually, there's an area in Colorado called Uniweep Divide. It was named by, I believe, the Ute Indians, and it was because this Uniweep Divide river actually flows two directions out of it. And so I thought it was kind of a clever play on our frame being split in the middle and being able to move both ways.
I see the talon on the back.
Yes. So, I mean, what I might do if I was using a setup like this is throw my elk meat in here.
Yep.
Right. And then that
would have really helped with the goat hide in the head.
And then I'm going to take the other stuff, put back here. And once again, these are interchangeable. If I want to be orange and visible, if I want to have a day pack, I throw these.
That's pretty sweet.
On there. And then I go like this, and I can put my extra gear back here. Or perhaps, unlike a load shelf pack where people think, well, load shelf pack, I can just use it as a hauler and I can hunt quarters. I can do the same thing this way without ever opening my pack. I can just go throw an elk quarter behind here, have a little bit of stuff here, my water here, and roll on.
Especially if you're out there day hunting, right? You can really leave a few things that you're day hunting, in the side pockets or whatever. You could just with that, it looks like with that thing, you could just strap that quarter right behind that thing, and it's on the outside of your bag instead of the inside.
Yeah, but it's still flat against.
And it's still flat against your back, right?
Yeah,
right.
If you don't have much,
then you
in
can
there.
just wipe it clean if you get a little blood on the outside, but it's not going to bother anything inside.
Right, and I pull these bags off. They pull off so easy. You would kind of laugh. I pull them off. I throw them in a washing machine. No detergent even for like a short cycle, and I just hang them up or throw them in the sun to dry. And these do a phenomenal job. Like, I mean, my bird dog, if I've packed out elk, my bird dog doesn't go sniffing at this. The Spectra, while it looks absolutely clean, my bird dog does go sniffing around my pack a little bit, so I know that there's some smell there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So that kind of gives that option. Once again, this is an integrated setup here, so it's all built in. But that's really kind of about it. So now, what do we need to do? We need to fit you.
Yeah.
Find out what kind of pack you want. Do you really want one of these in a Berber fleece?
I do.
You want to make
something quiet.
You want to make 10 of them with your name on it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get one made. I can probably get 10 made easier than I get one made.
I'm sure there's some dudes listening that would take one.
Well.
Yeah, I got weights right here in the gym. Why don't I grab like 110 pounds, 20 pounds, and let's throw it in. Let's get it configured and fitted, and let me throw all that weight in there and feel it.
Okay. How close was Owen's pack to fitting you, or do you want to
It felt
do the
pretty
breakaway,
good.
or do you want to?
It felt pretty good.
Okay.
It did? Want to just start there? Because
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
just start there.
we're not leaving a pack here for you. We're
Yeah.
just going to decide what you want, and we're going to have it built
Yeah.
at our shop, and then configured and shipped to you.
Yeah, let's try it.
All right.
I mean, it did feel about right.
Yeah, it looked about right. You could probably go a little taller on the harness, but I mean, seems like you have a little bit longer torso, so I think starting with my pack's probably not a bad idea. Then making adjustments from there.
I mean, if we want to take 5, I could use a restroom break.
Yeah, let's do that, and I'll grab the weights.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, we're back. We got the pack loaded. What did we say? How much weight is in here?
100 and
115?
95 plus 15 or something, or 20. So 115 plus
115. And then what does the pack weigh?
3.5.
That's about a 3.5 pound pack.
3.5 pounds. Okay, so this is kind of a typical load. If I were to carry a bear and all my gear and my whole camp out. So I'm going to put this baby on. Test her out. See what it feels like with a load on. Need to climb the mountain with this, Tim. Kevin.
Yeah.
2 first names.
I know.
It's hard. Everybody gets it wrong. Everybody does.
Okay. Really adjustable belt here. Yeah. It's funny when you get to loads like this. It's just heavy.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Feels good.
we needed to undo the harness beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
You had the load lifters engaged a little bit. So I think it ends up setting a little lower than it should. Definitely set lower.
Like he could almost use frame extensions on that.
Yeah, let's start over. Let me adjust that harness for
Okay.
you.
Just kind of messing around a little bit here.
Yeah, it's right here and right here.
Right there.
Yeah, but I need to adjust the harness for you. So
It is pretty comfortable. But it... All right. Let's...
there we go.
In the case with all of these kind of loads and packs, you really need to go 5-10 miles with it to see which packs shine and which ones don't, you know.
Exactly. That's when you start to notice the rub and the wear and the bruising.
Yep.
If you know.
That's also why I said that you really need, ideally, pie in the sky, because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
There should be 3 or 4 ways in which you are able to find comfort on your said pack, right?
Yep.
And that you can bounce around between them. You know, your hips get a little hot. This gets a little hot.
That's how I run all my packs pretty much. Some being more adjustable than others, but that load goes on my hips, then it goes on my shoulders, kind of goes on my chest. You know, it just kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah.
I find that when I'm carrying a really heavy load for a really long time, I tend to carry a lot of the weight on my chest.
Actually, that's I do kind of the same too. I mean, it adds another structure point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the days and days and days of maybe my hips and my shoulders that when I put it across the chest, it just sort of, I don't know why.
Here's what we had.
So what exactly are you doing now, Kevin? Like you saw something that didn't fit just right? Like
yeah, I'm tightening up the harness here. There was some slack in Owen's harness setup, and so it lengthened as you shouldered it.
Okay.
So that's really kind of what happened. So I'm taking that tension out, and like I did say, I mean, our harness is backwards compatible, right?
Yep.
But let's see. Okay, it's that one right there.
And so with this adjustment, and I would imagine like how I'd like to run it with 60 pounds is a lot different than how I'd run it with 20 pounds, or could be. Right?
It will be.
And having that adjustability is nice because why would I want it real stiff when I'm carrying half the weight, you know, on a typical backpack trip, maybe 70 pounds. Then I'm jumping to 120. So I could loosen and tighten the harness, right?
Yeah.
Based on that comfort level I'm seeking based on the load I'm carrying.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, this was.
There you go.
Okay, cool. Now let me get that.
I think. Somewhat.
Yeah, there was some slack in this one. Yeah, let me take this because we compressed this load so tight. We made adjusting the harness
a
little challenging. So let me take this out kind of real quick and get this right here.
What I've done is I've found a pretty good middle ground for mine. That's kind of why I run those 2-inch frame extensions. I mean, truth be told, probably at a lower weight, the 24-inch frame is probably going to be better for me. But the 2-inch seems to be good at 100 pounds, and good at 50, and not too tall at lower weights like 10, 15.
For me, I can run just about anything off of that 2-inch extension.
Okay.
I can also with the lumbar and wrapped get into the 24, range, but man, we compressed that load in there so tight.
It's a heavy load.
Yeah.
It's about. Yeah.
You need to push a little there. There we go. And this is a cross member that really is designed to just keep stuff from poking you in the back. So we did get this over this one. Let's go over that strap.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go. There you go. Loosened up here. One thing that happens a lot is people...
So does this ride up or down right here?
You can move that up or down a little bit within about an inch. One thing that does happen is a lot of times people tighten their load lifters, which lift the straps up. Take the pack off.
Yeah. Loosen them before you put it on.
Yeah, loosen them before you put it on because otherwise you kind of get creep. You get your torso creep and you end up putting your pack on
wrong, right?
Lower than it should be.
Right. I tend to ride it a little lower anyway. All right. Oh, was that your cord there?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. You ever have these frames snap at all?
No, we've had a couple. We haven't had any field issues.
Yeah.
We had someone who had a quarter that put it in the back of their truck on like a 15-mile bumpy road. Here, let me get this up.
Here. I'm good. Just checking this table here. Okay. And it had some trouble?
Well, it was like they left the quarter in it, and then they went barreling down a washboard road.
Oh, it wasn't on their back?
Right. And that bent the frame a little. We've had a couple people that have driven over the frames. Things like that.
I snapped my Stone Glacier frame.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. Carrying those plates.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it was a little high in the pack, right? And the bottom didn't have any weight against it. And, I set it down on the ground before I got in the truck. Snapped it in half.
And that's their newest one, right? Here, let me help you get this up a little bit.
Well, I'm not ready yet.
Oh, okay.
I know. I'll get it.
Okay.
Man, this belt is so conforming. Like when I tighten it, it's like really does get on those hips, like right where you need the load.
Yep.
I mean, it really sticks it there. What I'm curious about is how it feels over a long haul, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you can certainly get some time for training this summer.
Mm-hmm. You know, I can tell it's not going to cut off that circulation on my shoulders like some. And the weight really is on the shoulders. It's not, because this is a heavy load.
Oh, yeah. It is. I mean, it looks
really
like
load.
It could be up a little higher or a little more frame, one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so hard to get that 100-plus pound load onto your back in the right spot. And it literally is practically hunching it up like this, and weird little motions to try to get it into the right spot.
Well, it's like any pack I start wearing with a load like this. It's like finding the fit is just a process.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you just put it on and you go.
Yeah, right.
I mean, when you're in these loads, it's hard, it's heavy, and it's uncomfortable for a reason. It's just a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And so figuring out how to, that's why I'm like, it doesn't really help me to, carry 50 pounds or 40 pounds and really see how a backpack performs, because I need to know how it's going to perform at 90 and above, because that's when
you're real miserable.
Yep. And that's when it really matters. This should this be a little lower, this chest strap, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, most people would go a little lower, and I think what you have there is you can get it a little lower on here.
Okay.
It slides down, or it should, unless that's you have adjustment range in there.
Let me try that. I actually like my chest straps a little lower across that chest here. Yeah, that feels really good.
So yeah, I like to run it right about
here. That feels nice. If I were to walk a long way like this.
I think in your case, going with a 28-inch frame would get your load lifters. You get it off your shoulders quite a bit more, comparatively to where it is at the moment.
Yeah, I think you could go with a 4-inch, or even a 4-inch and cut down 1 inch of it.
Yeah.
It seems for me like the taller, the better. In the past, that's been kind of the case. I like how it carries the weight across my whole back here. Yep. It feels really comfortable standing here for being this heavy.
Yeah.
For being this heavy, it feels really comfortable. The only part that's not, and it's holding, the load is holding a lot better than it did when I was on Kodiak.
Oh yeah.
You know, the way it was fitted.
Yeah, with the harness.
Now I just would like to go for, I mean, it's pretty comfortable. It's pretty dang comfortable. I'd like to go for some serious miles on it and see, because back through here, it feels nice. The load feels like it's pretty close to my back.
I think we ride closer than anyone because we wrap the back a little bit. The other ones, they have their interface with the back, where we more wrap it.
Yeah, and before when I was on Kodiak, we were like going down wet, slippery slopes, and I didn't have, what do you call it, ice or any like spikes or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And leaning one way and having the pack slip on the top, made it really hard to, you know, stay stable.
Right.
It is. I do like the hip, the way the hip feels. If anything, if I'm struggling at all, it's on this left side of the chest here.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little bit pinched. I don't know if I just have it. That's a little better. Probably just need those taller, those extra stays. That way, less pressure right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'll lift it up more.
Yeah,
I've noticed, like, same with all my other packs, you know, because I'm not a very tall person, but I have like 30-inch inseam. Like my legs, my height is all from the crotch up. Mm-hmm. Like it ain't from the crotch down.
Yeah, you need your seat close to the steering wheel, but you need a lot of real estate going up.
I'm shaped weird, but that's why I can do some mad squats. You know, because I don't have to go very far, and my knees and everything I don't have to deal with all those legs coming up around my ears. They're just little legs.
Well, yeah, and you probably win the CrossFit things when it's like
when it's deadlifts though. I'm compromised because now I have all that long torso sticking out.
Oh, really?
And you got to pull it up, and now I have that mechanical disadvantage. But with squats, I have a mechanical advantage. Same with guys that have really short arms. You don't see guys with super long arms winning any bench press contests.
Right, exactly. Like I used to. He'll never listen to this, but he's pretty well known in the outdoor industry. But one of my friends, that he owns a company called Rigging for Rescue. Mm-hmm. He's sick when you go to CrossFit with him. You know, he's an incredible athlete, but he's built a little more like you, and it's like it comes time to go through the squat things, and he's like, you know, and you're like, you're done already, you know.
Yeah, this is pretty good. Pretty good. I need to put more miles on this to really feel it, and we put plates in it, but they're not as high as I would like them. The extended frame should help a little bit. Mm-hmm. Give me a little more space up there.
It'll move it 2 inches higher.
And the other thing about it is, so I think that would feel better. Take a little bit of weight off the shoulders by being taller, a little different angle on the load lifters. Mm-hmm. And I think those are two main things. And we put the weights on there, and we actually put weights sticking out pretty far so that the weight, because, you know, by the time I load the whole animal and then I load the whole pack, you know, with meat, it's not up tight against your back. It's most of the heavy stuff is, but you still have all that other gear that's kind of filling out the back, and it starts hanging off, and you're doing this ab kind of thing.
Yeah, like there's a 20-pound dumbbell in the exterior pocket on that.
Exactly. So if you're looking at the video, you got some weight that's out there to simulate what it would be like with a real load.
Yeah. So I think you got 95 in the pack bag, 20 out. So
yep. So, and it feels good. Feels real good. So a few of those little changes, and then I'd like to put some big miles on it with 120 or so, and really see.
Well, let's figure out which pack bag, which fabric, all that you want.
Yep.
Whether it looks like you could go medium or large belt. It looked like the large actually fits you just a touch better.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think I'll lose. I'm pretty thin right here. When I lose weight, it doesn't change that much down there.
Okay. Is that my phone? Or
it's usually upper body
is this your
muscle.
Phone or my phone?
That one's yours.
I'll start putting some notes here.
Mm-hmm.
Large belt.
Yeah, I'm anxious to
4-inch
give it a
4-inch extension.
whirl. Try it, see how it feels.
Which fabric you want to go with? You want to go with X-Pac or Spectra or
I like
Cordura?
this right here.
You want to go with that?
Yep.
Okay.
This is the Spectra.
Yep.
Yep. I think the Spectra is pretty ideal for until I go to Kodiak or Alaska, and then maybe.
Okay. Now let's go
else.
with what style pack bag you want. I'm going to tell you want a 6000 series to start out with, just because you have so much camera gear and stuff. Do you want pocketing like that, or do you want like the day pack off, being able to piggyback off? And
I like the day pack going on the back there.
Okay.
No question. I think that's yes. That's a yes.
Okay. So 6,000 bag. Merlin. Do you want see if we can do the Merlin in a fleece, or are you fine with Spectra? And if it all works out, maybe you can have your own run of.
No, that's good
Merlins.
right there for that. And then none of the hunts right now. It's not until I'm bow hunting. For bow hunts, it'd be nice to have a different fabric on the outside there, so that you could really.
Well, maybe by that time we can make a little gritty run or something. If you decide that's something you want to go with. Now let's talk about. Do you want tall side pockets, no side pockets, regular water bottle pockets, one short, one tall? You want integrated, right?
And these are all things you can choose through the custom pack builder on our website.
Yes.
Okay.
You want an integrated pack?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. This inside.
Do you want a zipper all the way
This
down?
inside load shelf is pretty sweet.
I take it you want the zipper, the side zip?
Yes. I want to be able to open this whole bag up like that and lay quarters and meat inside. And
so that and the load shelf is a priority.
Yep. I love this setup here. That's money. Which I liked when I was on Kodiak and I used it before. I really liked that. Like I said, carrying heavy loads without that part, without the harness being, what did you guys call it? The harness and the belt
Captured.
Yeah.
When those weren't captured,
we're a difficult platform. We're different than everyone else, and so we also have a little bit different terminology than everyone else too, which makes it a little confusing for customers, and confused customers don't buy. Well, I mean, they do, but the people the bulk of our customers tend to be the people that have went through every pack out there and really kind of understand like the packs, their packs now, and they're like, oh, I love it. It's the best pack ever, stuff like that. But we aren't getting a lot of the people that are like, hey, I think I want to learn how to backpack hunt.
Right.
And, just jumping into it right off the get-go.
Right.
It's a knowledge thing.
You got to spend some time, maybe even spinning through the shop, talking to people at a trade show, or you just are nerdy enough or know enough about packs to try it and go through the steps to jump into that. Yeah. I mean, I can see that.
Now, 6,000 integrated side zip, Merlin, side pockets.
I'd like to check out the one of the orange Talon as well.
Orange Talon as well?
For that.
It's definitely of use.
That rifle period, Yep.
The Talons are also good for strapping a bow under as well.
Oh, yeah. That makes a total sense, yeah. And you got the belt size adjusted a little bit for the so this is a medium belt.
That's medium.
So
that was large. Actually, the large will be a little smaller than it was on you with the lumbar.
Okay,
because the lumbar.
Oh yeah.
Takes a little bit.
So it'll probably be just right.
Yeah,
probably be just right
be just right there.
Side zip. Do you want a little top pocket in it?
Inside, yes.
Or not like this one? Or
you mean
this little top pocket here on the bag?
I see what you mean right there.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I do like having the roll top, but I also do like having see how you have these attachments?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I do kind of like having a little pocket there.
I mean, we can do a lid if you want.
Mhm.
A lid goes on easily. So you can go a lid. Our lid's not super big volume.
But with that, what do you call that one?
The Merlin?
The Merlin. Do you need a lid if you have the Merlin going?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Let's
just do the Merlin. I'm going to try that. I want to run that Merlin and see how that little grab and go pack.
Okay. This yay or nay then?
Probably nay.
Nay. Okay. Okay.
And we're talking the side pockets. I believe the standard water bottle pockets, like we saw in the Uniweep, are 8 inches tall.
Yeah.
And then we have these 16-inch side pockets as well right here. And these are super nice for a spotting scope or even carrying your rifle on the side. Compressing it down is really nice. We also have some zippered wing pockets in that other bag. Let me go ahead and try and grab it here.
Zippered wing pockets.
Yeah, they add huge volume. If you want to get the biggest pack on Earth.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
you can end up getting yourself to about 10,000 CI.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you lose the water bottle access, but you have this massive pocket on the side with some extra, storage capability in here.
Some people build small packs with those for their spotting scopes and stuff.
I would prefer this to the sleeves.
You would prefer that to the sleeve?
That's kind of what I run even now on that stone. It's run the same way. I have my camera goes in here, my lens, and I zip it shut. It's easier to access usually for me because I wrap it up in a bunch of stuff and slip it in there. A lot of times when I have to slide it in and out of a hole like this,
these add almost 1,200 each. So if you go with these, you may want to downsize the main bag a little bit. Because while we call this a 7,400 bag, it probably compares favorable to most bags in like the 8,500 because the real volume is 60 something in there, and then these are about 1,180. There's a little bit of give and take in an attached pocket, but not a lot.
I don't care for these.
Okay.
This style in any of the bags that I've used in the past.
Okay.
I prefer a zipper like this.
Okay. So you want 2 of those, one on each side, or you can go one on one side?
I do like one on the left side, rifle on the right. So I can put my camera lens over here in the heavy or a spotter or something, and the rifle goes on the left side and weighs similar.
So would you want maybe just the water bottle pocket on one side and then this on the other side for camera gear?
Show me this water bottle.
Yeah,
pocket.
So it's going to be the 8-inch pocket.
That little one?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine for doing
to
put your rifle in.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Okay, so you want the rifle on...
I like that.
Yep.
You want rifle on which one? Which side?
Right side.
Right pocket bottle.
And the zipper sleeve on the left. Right here. And that typically what I have is a giant camera lens or a spotter. And it's my lens is like this big. It goes in there, and I need to be able to get it in and out quick.
Okay, so
filming.
We might want to stick with the 6,000 still and put that, because that combined with the Merlin, you might not run the Merlin every time. This platform right here is actually really good for carrying a bow or a rifle across the back here. You just use our straps, like I'll take one like this. In fact, I'm really surprised. This is going to be, Kevin's a horrible salesman, but this is going to be Kevin's salesman attempt here. I'm surprised the long-range crowd hasn't fallen in love with this bag, because what you can do is basically turn this as a day hunting pack, right? And a lot of the long-range crowd day hunts. They hike in somewhere with a 20-pound rifle and some heavy optics, and they sit there and, until... Anyway, you can put this here. You use one of these straps here. You wrap it around your buttstock a little bit so it drops this down. In day hunting, this is going to be right up against your back practically. So you've now taken that heavy rifle, and then this side, when you use this like a bat wing, ends up like this.
You showed me that before.
Yeah, so you can put a spotting scope and stuff in one side. And for day hunting, that seems like that's a great way to carry a 30-pound day hunting rig or whatever into the woods, right? So you may want to stick with a 6,000 because you're going to end up at about 72.
How big is this?
This is...
That's going to be the Brooks or the Saker 7400.
Yeah.
How big is this one?
And this is a 5400 cubic.
Yeah, that's a 54 bag. This is a 54 bag.
This is too big. This is way too big.
The pack bag itself?
Yeah.
Okay. Because this bag is 6,000 on its own. So if you want smaller profile, we could build it on like this 5400 bag, put the side pocket on, that would get you a 66. Then if you wanted to run a Merlin on the back, it's going to get you about 78.
Yep.
Okay, so 5400 base bag. Okay,
I think so. Between that pocket on the side and the Merlin on the back,
you're gonna have a ton of space.
Should be around 79,
8,
something like that.
Yeah, and you don't always have to run the Merlin. Like, I mean, you might run it for archery, or if you're on something where you don't quite need the volume.
That Merlin doesn't weigh a thing.
No, it weighs like 12, 13 ounces. Something.
Yeah, I don't see me leaving that behind.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think this. So I like this build here. And if you had the rifle, sort of set up on the bottom down there, the little 8-inch pocket with a zipper deal like this on this side, I think I'm going to love it.
Okay. Cool. Spectra.
And so it'll still have these pockets on the back.
So
we can or not.
Because this is pretty sweet right here.
We can do it. We can do it like this with the pocket on there, but then you probably aren't going to want. You can still run the Merlin on this, but you start to really get kind of redundant.
Yeah.
Because your Merlin would. You want to grab the Merlin real quick, or is just one of the talons? I mean, well, you would be running it as a piggyback,
right?
A redundant piggyback on there. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
I see. So what you're saying though, if I run this like this and it doesn't have this setup there. Okay, I can stuff my puffy jacket inside this right here, and and it's just strapped down so I can get in and out of it easy. Because that's one of my pet peeves is I'm trying to get my puffy jacket, my puffy pants and puffy jacket come on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off every. I hike and then I stop. I put it on. I just get cold when I stop. Yeah. And then I hike some more and I take it off. I'm dropping those layers constantly.
Yeah. Now, if we did it like this, just like this, with the one tall pocket on the side for you, you're going to end up at about a 7,800 total because you're going to gain about 1,000 here, 1,200 on one side. Then you're going to have the rifle thing on the other side. So you're going to be 22 on top of 54. You'll end up at about 76. You can still run the Merlin with that if you want. That'll take you up to 88, and you can basically disable this if you want. I mean, you really want...
because how much does this weigh?
That's probably...
this little piece.
I think it's
6 ounces.
Yeah, 6 ounces.
I'd rather have it on there and then decide to use this or not use this because I can see myself stuffing my puffy jacket and pants in here all day long, over and over again.
Okay, so it's okay. We just build this pack.
Zipper sleeve.
With a zippered side pocket.
Little pocket there.
Little pocket here and a Merlin.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
I think that's going to be pretty legit.
4-inch large belt. Okay.
I like that setup. Yeah, that'll be fun to run that and, see how I like all those configurations and stuff.
It'll give you a lot of options.
Yeah.
So
super.
If you need giant volume,
you got it.
Yep.
Which I do. Like I ran the smaller stone for a while and I just was always running up against fitting things in there. Because, when we do a lot of pack rafting.
Yeah.
And your pack raft is like, even though it's only 5 pounds, it's a bulky item. And then you have paddles and you got to get the paddles in there. And then if you do have a dry suit, you got to throw that in there. And then all of a sudden, it's like a 10-pound weight edition, but it's like a whole giant bulky set of gear. Even though it's not heavy, it is large and bulky. So it's a.
You guys should do a pack raft of the Escalante bear hunt. I saw a bear down there when I pack rafted the Escalante a few years ago.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of turkey down in there.
Yeah.
So like
there's a lot of hunts I need to do.
Like spring. I actually suggested this. I don't want to name drop. I suggested this hunt to Giannis from Meat Eater.
Yeah.
I said you guys should turkey hunt the Escalante because he called me up asking because he had heard that I did some pack rafting in the Gila, which I had.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to ask me what the feasibility is. They ended up not doing it because it was a lot of stuff doing camp. And I hope that they don't get mad at me for saying this. I don't think. But I was like, man, you guys should pack raft turkey hunt the Escalante.
See, you lost me at turkey hunt.
Well, they're big into turkey hunting.
I know they are.
I'm not that big of a turkey hunter myself, but there are bear down there too. I was surprised. I saw a black bear right on the river, and it was maybe May 15th when I was going through there.
Well, I want to run something by you. I got I sent this question out to our locals members.
Mm-hmm.